What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the heavily therafluid hippie, battling allergies or the flu or the cold or something, but continuing my really deep dive into all things Neil Young with CSNY 1974, an absolutely phenomenal must get 3 CD plus DVD box set of live Crosby, Stills, and Nash material from their 1974 Doom Tour. Dubbed, I don't think it was officially called the Doom Tour, an infamous tour of decadence and fighting and all things wrong with rock stardom. I think it was like one of the very first stadium tours, kind of set the template for rock and roll excess in a lot of ways. Box set, 3 CDs. There's all kinds of weird versions of this that are floating out there, like a Starbucks sampler and all kinds of other samplers. But I'm going to talk about the 3 CDs of live music from these 74 shows from August, September, December. Songs that were, I think they recorded, out of the entire tour, they recorded a handful of shows, like maybe 9 shows, I think it was. It's either 9 or 14. Those numbers are popping in my head. And then they were going to release something at the time. And then because of just the bad blood between all members of the band, nothing was ever released until 2014, 11 years ago. And that's a crime. I think had this been dropped in 1975 or 1976 as maybe a double album because they weren't doing 3 CDs, or maybe they do 3 CDs. We had already done it a couple times. I think it rewrites Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young's legacy. I think this would have been successful. I think people would have way more respect for them. I think they'd be talk about. This is an amazing live document. The way they approach it, the switching of songs, their personalities, all the guitar energy, both Stills and Young, and plus Crosby is a fantastic guitar player. Graham Nash is at his absolute best on this. The song selection. This is an epic listen. I kind of, in my mind, thought that this was going to be a sort of lights are bright, we're revisiting the hits, it's a little too cheesy at times, maybe Neil's going to bring something interesting or, maybe whatever. No, from start to finish, this is a home run. I don't know how else to say it. It blows my mind at how absolutely good this release is. I was going to say something else about it, but now I forgot. The Theraflu is really starting to kick in right about now. Maybe shouldn't have done this. Whole bunch of songs on here. 3 CDs. You get an bunch of electric songs. And I think it mimics a show. The shows were like 3 hours long. So this is pretty close to like what an actual show would feel like. You had an electric set. You had an acoustic set. You had an electric set. I believe the electric sets were all the band members on stage all the time. The acoustic set, people came and went depending on the song. Oh, what I was going to say was, there was a video of one of the performances, Almost Cut My Hair. I believe it's the same Almost Cut My Hair that's on the CDs, that's on the DVD. But it's on YouTube. So when you're done, or right now, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, 1974, Almost Cut My Hair. It's like the lights are dark. It's like a bunch of people on stage with guitars. It's the band, of course. But it just has this really jam session feel. This comes across like 4 musicians and a band, rhythm section, drummer, bass player. I think there's a hand percussionist, like a percussionist, right? Getting together. They happen to just know a bunch of songs, and Tim Drummond on electric bass, and they're just jamming. Like, hey, you play one, you pick one, you pick one. The vibe is incredible. It's incredible. Out of all the songs, Crosby gets the fewest number with 8. Nash and Stills both get 9, and then Neil Young gets 14 that they pinned originally that are their songs. If I had to pick a winner for this box set, for me, it's David Crosby. Crosby comes across clearly. Just everything Crosby does, I think, is essential to the integrity and success of this. My nose is starting to run, so I apologize if I have to wipe it during this. Again, I was hoping the Theraflu would kick in even more so, but it's not. But second song, Wooden Ships, after Stephen Stills' opening Love the One You're With. The One You're With, not a song I like. It's a really great version of the song, like with this really awesome drum bass intro, very attacking rock energy. Still's voice is really gritty and worn down, and there's an edge to it that I really like. But it's the wooden ships that follows that just kind of brings a really slow burn and intensity that kind of course corrects the love you're one you're with, love the one you're with, and balances out Graham Nash's Immigration Man, which is a great song, especially in 2025 in the United States. It still is sadly matters as a song. But Wooden Ships provide some weird, really psyche, soulful energy that is just fantastic. Later on at the end of the disc, the end of the electric set, closes out with Almost Cut My Hair, which is just bluesy. It's musical. We get a little more psych energy. We get the passionate singing. The end jam has this great swing to it. But something about Almost Cut My Hair is just unlike, I think, other songs on here. Same on the acoustics. Stephen Stills opens up with Change Partners. Everybody's singing along. And then Crosby follows that up with The Lee Shore, which has that like Crosby psych fluidity that so many of his songs have. Crosby also drops one of the most beautiful tracks on here in Guinevere that is just perfection. And then disc 3, the second of the electric discs, opens up with Deja Vu, which is just masterful. They just psych this one out nice, keep it low and let it simmer at the beginning, and then the vocals come in and then we drop into the song, and that drop is ridiculous, and it kind of threatens to kind of fall apart at times, but it's just loose and jammy and trippy, and Crosby just hits it out of the park every time. Yeah, so Crosby would get the win, but I think everybody's pretty fantastic. Surprisingly, I really like Graham Nash on this. I think Graham Nash, a couple of his songs that normally would annoy me in the studio versions, I think work really well here. Particularly, I think it's Our House. Our House is a really they almost sound like they're too tired, like they're sick of the song and they're just tired of doing it. So there's kind of this slowness to it, and almost like but that works really well with those lyrics and provides this image of a man like, our house is a very, 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 but you don't believe him. Like, it just seems untrue. He doesn't seem into it, but it works really, really well for Graham. And then even Teach Your Children, when we get to Teach Your Children, not a song I normally like, but where it is kind of the penultimate song in the acoustic set after things are starting to get really weird with Neil Young's Love Art Blues and a Hawaiian Sunrise, and we had Stills's like indulgent acoustic word game with his weird Mythosisyphus, we get this kind of brown period in the end of the acoustic set. Then when Teach Your Children comes in, you're like, okay, we needed this was perfect, right before the acoustic set closes out with Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, which is phenomenal. So even Graham Nash's stuff, which would for me be the thing that I don't like about a Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young album, or a Crosby and Nash album, he brings it here. He brings it. And even the songs that are just more normally his, like Field Worker and Immigration Man, they're working here. They work well. Songs that are still sadly resonant today. Speaking about issues that matter back then, sadly, they're in the forefront of the news again today. But fantastic, fantastic stuff. And then Stills and Neil are just great. First disc, you get 11 songs. You open up with a great Love the One You're With, Wooden Ships, Immigration Man, Neil Young's Helpless. They each get a song in the first 4. From there on out, we kind of mix things up. Crosby's Carry Me, Stephen Stills' Johnny's Garden, a previously unreleased song, Neil Young Traces, very nice 70s soft rock vibe, absolutely beautiful. Graham Nash's Grave Concern, Neil Young's On the Beach, which sounds amazing. They nail the vibe. They are in this groove. This is like psych, hazy, Neil Young awesomeness. Like, this is absolutely amazing. And there's some guitar playing in here. Stills, Young, just shredding. Some amazing stuff. Very loose and free, but at the same time, they nail the On the Beach vibe. That's followed by like the hard rock, Stephen Stills sort of hard rock riff heavy Black Queen, which I don't think is as successful. I think it's too predictable of a like, this is the hard rock Stephen Stills thing. But coming between On the Beach and the closing Almost Cut Your Hair, it kind of works in that sequence. And then the Almost Cut My Hair closing, which is amazing. Disc 1 is just from start to finish is like so incredibly perfect. Disc 2 is the acoustic set. Also just fantastic. They each get a song to begin with, and then they just kind of start bouncing around. And the opening songs are Stills' like full body upbeat change partners. Crosby's The Lee Shore, which is that darker, mellower, but has that psych fluidity that Crosby brings to his writing. Neil Young's Only Love Can Break Your Heart, which is just beautiful. And then Graham Nash's Our House, which because it's a little more lethargic or melancholy or something, works really well following those opening 3 songs. And we get Graham Nash's Field Worker, gorgeous Guinevere, a gorgeous Guinevere. A David Crosby, Time After Time, which I believe was on the album he did with Graham Nash, right? I'm pretty sure that was from that album. Then we get Graham Nash's Prison Song. Where are my notes on the acoustic stuff? Oh, there it is. Which opens up, again, about relevant stuff in the news. Kids in Texas, what is it? Kids in Texas smoking grass, a 10-year sentence. Well, elsewhere they get like a slap on the wrist. Again, just about the inequalities in the American justice system. Got a bunch of Neil Young songs, A Beautiful Long May You Run, sort of comedic song about Richard Nixon, Goodbye Dick. A great Mellow My Mind that's absolutely amazing. Very woozy, very appropriate for that song. And then we get an Old Man to finish out the Neil Young run. Stephen Stills shreds on Word Game acoustic sort of showing off. We get the kind of weird, trippy Myth of Sisyphus. They cover Blackbird. Then Neil gets weird with Love Art Blues and Hawaiian Sunrise. Both, I think, were released for the first time on this. Teach Your Children, and a phenomenal Sweet Judy Blue Eyes to close out the acoustic set. Disc 2. And then Disc 3, we jump right back in with Deja Vu. One of the highlights of this, the drop, when they drop in like the full band, like full volume, is just absolutely amazing. It's trippy. Like, this is a song Mo should cover, that Fish should cover. Like, there is a template here for jam bands to absolutely just do incredible things with this. Like, we're flirting with hardcore loose improv. Like, the energy on this is fantastic. Stephen Stills' My Angel Follows, which has a very, like, 70s keyboard dancey vibe. Graham Nash's Pre-Road Downs, which is kind of a Graham Nash rocker, if ever there was one. Then we get Neil Young's Don't Be Denied. Again, they get the groove. They get the vibe. This band is incredible. It sounds so good. It works so perfectly after those. Each of them get an opening song in this electric set. Deja Vu, My Angel, Pre-Road, Don't Be Denied. The sequencing, the choice of songs is perfect. Then we get a Revolution Blues, which sounds great. The band sounds scrappy and has that sort of chaotic energy that Revolution Blues needs. Graham Nash's super catchy Military Madness, kind of a pop nugget. Maybe one of the better things on here from Graham Nash. Crosby's Long Time Gone. Just that Crosby energy is just so fantastic. Another absolute highlight, probably the highlight among songs that don't appear elsewhere, as far as like had been on studio albums, is Neil Young's Pushed It Over the End, which is a little bit of everything, some Crazy Horse, some prog, a little funky, some guitar solos. It's long? It's like almost 8 minutes long. This really sort of convoluted little mini journey that's absolutely amazing. A pure highlight for this, really. One of the reasons to get this. One of many reasons to get this. Graham Nash's Chicago, which the crowd goes crazy for. No idea. I didn't know if maybe this was a hit. That's a great song, sort of a piano-driven little rocker. And then they close out with a blistering version of Ohio. Just amazing. This is an incredible set. I don't have the DVD version. I got the version on Amazon, just the audio. I don't have the DVD, so I can't comment on that. But the audio is fantastic. Highlights. Wooden Ships is amazing. Almost Cut My Hair. On the Beach. Anything David Crosby does. Neil Young's Only Love is fantastic. Mellow My Mind is incredible. Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. Deja Vu. Don't Be Denied. Revolution. All of Disc 3. Disc 3 is like near perfection. This is an amazing. This is the best. This is one of the best live releases ever. Like, I think like I said earlier, if this gets dropped in 75 or 76, the story that CSNY, their story is different. I think maybe they get together more often because I think this would have been this would have demanded that they get back together again because I think this would have been huge. It is so incredibly good. All right. That's all I got. Go get this. Check it out. Find it somehow. Listen to it. Enjoy it. If you're a Neo fan, it's a must. If you're a CSNY fan or CSN, it's a must. If you're a lover of music, it's a must. It's fantastic. Get it. That's all I got. Theraflu's kicking in. Feel my nose drying up. Sorry for having to wipe it. All right. That's all I got. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and go listen to this. It's incredible. Peace. Talk to you later.